we've been looking at this, running numbers, trying to figure out how we can make it work. So this is an old Save-A-Lot store in our city, and it's closed down, and they're wanting to sell it with an option to buy this lot right here. There's 2 lots right there. They want to sell one of those lots. They'll give you an option to buy that with it. I got a little bit of concern. They're a little bit over $2 million for the property, and every way I run the numbers right now, I just cannot get it to work. It's about a 12,000 square foot old grocery store. Everything on the inside would look like an older grocery store, so it needs a complete rehab. If we buy it, we got to sprinkle it, so we got to put sprinkler systems in it. As we walk around the side over here, I'll show you that all of the air conditioners are, 20 years old plus, so all of the air conditioners have to be upgraded. And whenever you pull your permit to upgrade the air conditioners, what they're going to do is also make you upgrade all of the smoke alarms, smoke detectors inside of the ductwork. They're going to have dampers shut down to stop a fire if a fire starts up in it. There's going to be a lot of different things that I got to do that's going to throw a lot of additional costs on the building. If you look at the building, Nick, see if you can go all the way to the end of the building there, just showing the picture. If you look at the building, I mean, it's not a bad looking building. I think it was built in the, I'm going to say in the 80s. I'm not 100% sure. It might have been a little bit before that, but I'm thinking somewhere in the 80s that it was built. Looking at the structure of the building, I tried to pull it up on the tax record, and I could see when the property was bought, but I couldn't see when the building was built. But just want you to get a look at it. So how would we figure out what we can afford to do here? Number one, I don't want to own a grocery store, so I wouldn't put a grocery store in. What I would do is I'd put a learning center here. So we have the real estate template. We're trying to build a learning center for the real estate template to bring people in to do more classes, to do educational stuff. We also would take that opportunity to do educational stuff in other platforms also, help other people that want to teach other people to come in and use the facility at the same time and maybe make a little bit of cash flow off of it like that. But I don't want to do anything that doesn't cash flow. So we come in here on this piece of property and put a note on it. I would say probably my break-even number would be somewhere around close to $40,000 a month by the time I cover taxes and insurance and my note. I'm just not seeing where I'm gonna pull that kind of money out of that. I'm gonna run the numbers as we're walking and talking to know where that note would be, because I forgot what it was. So if you look over here, Nick, you look at the loading dock we got over here. The loading dock on the building is kind of small. So it's not a very big loading dock that I could rent to a bigger trucking company or something and have somebody come in and they could use it for storage. As you look at the wall right there, that wall is about 12 foot tall. So throughout the whole building, you're gonna have 12, 13 foot ceiling height that you can actually use. And if you go past that, you can't do anything. I mean, you might could stock shelves up to the roof line in between those once you got it, but that's a big expense also. Let's run them numbers. So we're gonna do a $2 million loan at 8% interest, 30-year term. Well, they probably not give me a 30-year term on this building. I'm gonna put 25. I don't know if I'll get 25. Let's go 25-year term. What would my note be? $15,436. So that would be if I could get it on 25 years. We're looking at a $15,000 note. That does not include any taxes. That does not include any insurance. That does not include any upkeep of the building. What I want you to see also is there's a creek right here in the very back. As we walk back here to the loading dock, they got a creek. So all of this land right up in here is in the floodplain. The next question is there any way for me to get this building completely out of the floodplain? I could probably raise it and get it out of the floodplain, but they have actually raised the floodplain over the last 10 years, actually about the last 8 years. And when they raised the floodplain, that puts a lot of this building in the floodplain. So if that building's in the floodplain, they're liable to have me put insurance on. If I had to put flood insurance on this building, that could probably be somewhere in excess of $10,000 a month. I had some houses right down over here to the left, back up in there. I had 4 houses back up in there that they were charging me $5,000 for flood insurance on those houses. And, their value was nowhere near where the value of this building was. And what I did was I just paid the houses off, so I didn't have a note on it. And for no note on it, I don't have to pay flood insurance. So then I got out of paying the flood insurance. I still own the houses, but I can't put debt on the houses, because if I put debt on them, then I got to pay flood insurance. On that particular road, I own 11 houses. So that would be 11 houses I got to put flood insurance on. It just doesn't make sense. I hold them with cash. We put our money somewhere else. Eventually I'll probably wind up selling them so I can take that cash and make me money. But another reason I might not do that is I like the fact that if about 60% of my portfolio went dark and not rented, we could probably still make ends meet and would not starve to death. So I'm a little bit concerned about our market. I think inflation's still pounding at the door. I know they're trying to curb the inflation, but I think everything they're doing to curb the inflation is actually hurting the economy. And I think in the end, it's going to backfire in our government's face. And we're going to see hyperinflation, which is going to make people still got to have a place to live. So I'm not going to say I'm not going to have any renters. I'm going to say government's going to have to subsidize to make it work. there'll be a period of time in there where people aren't going to want to pay and stuff like that. So you can see the creek right here. I may feel like I'm all over the board, but I'm really not. Actually, I'm a visionary guy. I'm always all over the board. So that creek right there does fairly easily come over top of this ditch bank. It doesn't go into the building, but it comes over the ditch bank. The floodplain is supposed to be 4 feet above the 100-year flood plateau. That's on the house. If y'all look at the house we're building over on Slater's Creek, we've done several videos on that house. If you look at that house, you see how high we got it. Not that the water comes up in the yard where the house is. The water goes all the way up in the very front yard of the house, but they still required us to build that up 4 feet higher to make sure that if we're going to pull a note on it, we don't have that flood insurance. And that's the purpose of that. But got a little graffiti back there. That really is the only thing on the building that I see is bad. I'm adding value to the building would be to put a much bigger loading dock right here and possibly, not possibly, but actually pulling that small door right there, because all they're bringing in this is pallets of food. So it would give the ability to rent it to somebody else, but are you going to get, $40,000 a month to get where you're making money? You think $40,000 is going to be enough or too much or what? I think if we're at $15,000 on the note, then you're looking at your insurance and you're looking at your taxes, I think that's going to put you pretty close to $30,000 a month that you're going to be spending on this property. Well, not quite. That's going to be on a year. You're going to be at $25,000 a month, I say. And then you got your regular maintenance. You're going to spend, if you look at it, you're going to spend $100,000 on a sprinkler system to sprinkle this place. You're going to spend another $100,000 replacing the air conditioners on it. You got a complete build out because you're going to have to gut the whole building.
$100,000 for new air conditioners?
By the time it's all said and done, absolutely. Because you got to reduck it. I mean, unless you're going to open it as a grocery store, you got to duck each individual office, or it wouldn't be.
So there's a lot of upfront costs.
There is a ton of upfront. The $2 million to buy it is really just the very bottom of it. I mean, you're going to spend. I mean, if you look at if you did the build out, you're going to put $800,000 in on the build out and everything. It's just going to be a lot of money.
Of which then you're saying you did rent it out for $40,000.
Now let me preference this. $800,000 is a lot of money, but could you come in here and do something for a couple of $100,000 that might, well, you could, but it's not going to be anything fancy. It's not going to be anything nice. If you're going to do an educational center here, or you're going to do something like that, it's got to be pristine. It's got to be really nice. So all of the walk-in coolers, I think it had 4 or 5 walk-in coolers in it. So they're all old. Let's walk around the back of the building. We'll look
You'd
at
have to make a decision as to whether or not you want to build it for a grocery store or build it for a learning center, because those are two different.
Well, I keep listening to people tell me somebody's going to buy this and make a grocery store out of it. And I've been telling people forever, nobody's going to buy it and make a grocery store out of it because it doesn't make sense. It's too much money. And by the time you come in and rehab it, by the time you do it, the people the reason the old grocery store left was because they were losing money every month. And they were losing money because for somebody to come shop at a store like this, they're coming to get their daily groceries. I need some chicken for supper. I need some milk, I need some eggs. They're buying it. And when they need to go buy $300 worth of groceries or $200 worth of groceries, they're going to go to Kroger or Publix down the road. They're going to go to a bigger grocery store that can give them a cheaper deal. And so this is all of the, we will come back to that. I'm all over the board, huh?
I edit that.
I'm certainly a visionary. I really am. That's how my mind works. So if you look in here, this is all of the compressors, the condensing units for their walk-in coolers. They don't have, I didn't see any, they got no chiller here. Just walk-in coolers, walk-in freezers, display cases. So if somebody was going to come in here, all that stuff would probably have to be replaced. I mean, the store had been vacant for a little while. It's all old equipment. So by the time you got all that out, that's a ton of money even to make it a grocery store. But back to the point of the grocery store, when you get into a community like this, when they buying a lot of groceries, they're going to go to a bigger store to get a better variety. They get cheaper pricing. When Save-A-Lot was here, all of the food, for the most part, their meat was fantastic. It was great. The prices were good on the meat. But all of the cereals and the things like that they sold, all of that stuff was generic. And I want to buy name brand stuff. I like the flavor better. I like this better. I want to buy what I want to eat.
Are you a Lucky Charms guy?
Yeah. I do like Lucky Charms. But with all of that being said, they were losing money because people loved having a store here, but they just wanted to spend $30 at a time.
Right.
They weren't spending enough money to come in here and support a grocery store. Now we got 400 homes coming in down the road. Is that going to change the dynamics right here? 100% it's going to change.
400, yeah.
It's going to change the dynamics right here for this particular location. It will, because that's a lot of families. Now up on the ridge, we have 350 doors coming in with Ryan Homes. But I'm sorry, you can drive to Kroger from that location just as easy as you can drive here. Why would you drive here?
Right.
I would run up to White House and go to Kroger. Unless if I needed a gallon of milk, I would come here. But I wouldn't come here to shop. I would go to Kroger shop. So it's a really, really, really tough decision. And And this is a huge burden on our community, because our community, there's a lot of people here that want the grocery stores. But they miss the whole aspect that if you don't have the revenue to support a grocery store, it doesn't matter what you want. You know, you have to have somebody that's an investor that has money that will go invest, you know, to make this a grocery store. Let's say you got to invest $3 million total to make it a grocery store. And if you look, it doesn't have tremendous amounts of parking, so it's not a big building, it's 12,000 square feet. So by the time you did that, how in the world are you gonna make any money? Because you got to make that $40,000, $30,000 profit just to pay your overhead expenses, plus your employees, plus everything else. And if you divide all that up on a daily basis, the numbers don't work.
Right. I don't see this place making $100,000 a month.
No, it's not. And we got somebody running for city council member right now saying, hey, I'm gonna bring a store in. You're not gonna bring us. I'm not gonna say she can't bring a store in, but number one, the council ain't who brings a store in here. A city planner brings a store in here. Somebody that's gonna sit down with them, sell them on a deal, tell them that they're gonna help them, maybe get them some incentives to build, some incentives to invest in the city. They're the ones that's gonna make that happen, not somebody on the city council. It's just not how the real world works. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
And I fight with people all the time because they think it works a certain way, and it just doesn't work like you think. It doesn't. So education is king. A learning center would be great here. It'd be a great place to put it. You know, I don't think we don't have enough support here, big enough area to support a big restaurant or something of that magnitude. You know, somebody might could break it up into 2 or 3 different restaurants. But if you broke this up into 3 different restaurants, you gonna make any more money? No. I know that the Colorado Grill down the road, they were looking for somebody to give them a place that they could move to. What they're looking for, about $5,000 a month rent. That's what they're looking for. They don't want to pay more than that. And I don't want to say I don't understand that. I do understand that. But I think they're going to struggle to find it. That's why they're still in the same location, because you can't build it for that. You know, you got to look at whatever you build that place for. We did numbers, right? When you run your numbers, in order to pay your bills, you got to make at least 1% of your total investment right now just to break even, pretty much. So you buy it for $2 million, you put another $1 million in it, you got $3 million invested in it. That's $30,000 a month to break even. That's what it is. And that's on that previous video we did on breaking the numbers down really quick. That would be a real quick to look at. Okay, can you make $30,000 a month? No, I can't. Okay, I don't even need to look at it. If you could make $30,000 a month, now you don't want to go buy it. You want to go look at it. You want to evaluate it. You want to know exactly every aspect of that deal down. You want to break it down in every little nook and cranny so you know what the answer are. And then you go out there and you purchase that piece of property. But you know everything that can go wrong. You factor that into your decisions. Everything that can go right is just a bonus. Thanks for watching. This is the Save a Lot. We're going to pass.